And welcome back to the Jets and Giants show. As you can see by my wide ass grinning face, this is now week 5 in the NFL, and we are off to an interesting week 5. I am one of your hosts. My name is Gabe. Of course, I'm joined by Walt and Jose. It's good to have you back, Jose. Missed you last week for sure. So yeah, I want to say that I'm excited to record this week, but I'm excited for different reasons. It's like still like a 50-50 because we had two very opposite like games played today and all that stuff. But before we get into it, please like, rate, share, and subscribe if you're watching us for the first time. Thank you for joining us, and if you're coming back, thank you for coming back as well. It does us a huge help and boost for every single subscriber that we can get. So if you're already subscribed, please let all your friends and family know, all your buddies that are joining in on this conversation. So, with that being said, let's get right into it, man. I think, well, before we casted, we didn't know what to talk about. We didn't know if we should talk about the highs of the Giants win or the lows of this Jets loss. So we flipped the coin, and the results were that we are going to start with the Jets. Gentlemen, your thoughts and reactions now that I have you guys live and I can see your faces. Who wants to go first? I mean, I'm gonna let this be like your venting session. Honestly, in my opinion, so much from every aspect of the game, with the exception of the defense, was at the very least subpar, that I don't even necessarily know where to start. So I'm gonna let you guys decide who to start. Who wants to go first?
I'll go for it. I'll go. I'll begin um, with my misgivings with the Jets on offense, especially because as with most weeks for the last 3 years, the defense has mostly done what the defense has needed to do. Uh, but I'm going to keep this short because there's so many misgivings. But number one uh, is the Jets have no running game. We have two elite running backs and we have no running game. We
You're right
run
about that.
running back power and inside zone, and we forgot what outside zones and stretch plays are apparently. And whenever we do run anything outside the tackles, we pick up some yards, but we do that 10% of the time maybe, and it's getting really frustrating. Well,
Yeah, yeah. I mean, before, like, looking at the stats, you guys, I did not realize this. You guys had 36 yards rushing for the day. That is unbelievable.
we have no running
Unbelievable.
game. We
Yeah.
have no running game. It's disgusting.
Well,
Yeah, so the way I look at it, I'm gonna try and go glass half full because the positives are the Jets were down 17-0 and made this in a game, right? There was a point where you know at the very end of the game we were driving for a game tying, game winning touchdown, and it just didn't work out. And if you look at the way the standings are looking right now, the Jets are in second place in the division. They are a game out of the final playoff spot, so that's the positives, right? The negatives are everything but the defense. Nothing works. You have a quarterback that's not in sync with his receivers. You have an offensive line that can't run block. You have running backs that are hitting their spots way too early and not giving the guys up front a chance to kind of you know get into their places and stuff like that. And you have a coaching staff that A doesn't hold their players accountable and B don't know how to fucking call a game. You know what I'm saying? So um the Jets right now, glass half full. They're like every other team in the NFL. They're kind of middling right now. But you brought Aaron Rodgers here for a reason. And he had probably his worst game in a long time and definitely his worst game as a Jet.
yeah. I got a quick question for you guys. I mean, I have my thoughts and my own answer for this question, but I kind of was sort of getting to that in our little group chat and all that stuff. But if you had to, short answer, if you had to put the blame on anything, any one person, or any one aspect of the game, who are you putting this game on?
That one's a
You
hard
can't
one.
put it. You can't put it on anything
If you had to,
specific
though, if you
on
if you
offense.
if
I
you had to
mean, it
rank it,
was
that's my
everybody.
thing. That's my thing. If you had to rank all the different issues, which is at the top?
I think it's the running game still because Aaron Rodgers with 3 interceptions. One of them was a great play by Van Ginkel. One of them was a boneheaded interception that I don't know where the hell he was throwing that. I'm not even sure what route the receiver was going to run that was going to make that throw justifiable. And the third one, well, I think there were some issues with that play. It was one of those end of the game, just give it a try to win the game type interception. So I still think it was the running game. Aaron Rodgers, as bad as I think he looked, wasn't the worst thing. I mean, like you said, 36
Really
yards
interesting.
with Brees Hall and Braylon Allen. But I mean, look, if you want to rank anything, like Aaron Rodgers is probably right behind the run game in terms of how bad he was. Because I mean, you could say the coaching, you could say a lot of other things, but
Yeah.
at the end of the day, those throws were just some bad throws. There was some miscommunication with receivers that you would hope that okay, you can say it's week 5, it's the preseason, whatever the hell. Like it's not even the preseason anymore at this point. If you
Yeah,
think
no,
about
we
it,
can't wait like
but
5 weeks in. We can't say preseason
our
anymore.
team's getting right, whatever. Week 5, right? I think somebody mentioned a quote that's Bill Belichick or some motherfucker said week 5 is when you find out about who a team is. Well, we found out that this team doesn't have a cohesive offense, and the blame can go in a lot of different directions. Like I said, the run game
Yeah,
you could blame, but you can blame the coaching for that. Like it's really hard to be specific because
yeah.
Brees
So I
Hall and Raylan Allen are still studs. They're not. And Brees Hall's not breaking tackles, but he's getting hit. Like I think, Walt, I'll let you go right ahead. He's getting hit at I think something last week a statistic. He's getting hit at the 0.1 yard line. His first contact for him. So
right.
he's not getting blocks either.
So I for me, um, it's squarely with the coaching. And I'm gonna hit you with a couple of stats here. Week 1, the first drive they got 17 yards. Second drive they got 2. Week 2, 14 yards on the first drive. Second drive 2. Week 3 is the outlier. That was the Patriot game. They got 37 yards on the first one, 58 yards on the second drive. Week 4, -1 yards on the first drive, 1 yard on the second drive, and this week 9 yards first drive, 4 yards second drive. And so that to me speaks to coaching because, as you all well know, teams like to script out the first 15 plays, right?
Right, exactly.
That's
Yeah,
a gimme. That's a gimme. This is something that the coaching staff have poured over for the entire week. Got this team ready to execute those plays. Those are gimme plays. Those are the type of plays that you utilize to kind of, suss out what the defense is giving you. And in every single game except for the Patriot game, the Jets have been inept in their opening drives. And it doesn't get better after that because you know what? There's a lot of head scratches in some of the play calling that they do. For example, we all know that Minnesota is great at rush defense. They're one of the top teams. And there was an instance in early in the game. I believe it was there was 1 yard to go. They went power rush 2 times. Never once did they consider, hey, let's do maybe a play action. Let's do maybe a screen to the running back. Let's roll out Aaron Rodgers. He's shown that he can be mobile that way. But there is no creativity with this offensive staff. They don't utilize their players well. They don't put their players in positions to win. And yes, there is a big issue with synchronicity with Aaron Rodgers and these receivers. And it's very clear because the only guy that has any that's on the same page with Aaron Rodgers is Aaron Lazard, the guy that he's been with forever. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
right.
That last play, that interception at the very end of the game, Mike Williams, I know I'm harping on it on our chat. He never even looked back at the ball.
Yeah.
So to me, it's all coaching. It really, really is, because you know what? You know the staff that you have. You know what you don't. The Jets don't have an identity right now. They really don't.
Well, so for me, like I think it's 50-50 coaching, and in this game specifically Aaron Rodgers. And the reason I say that is because you brought Aaron Rodgers in here to win in spite of deficits that this team is supposed to have,
Sure.
regardless of like the players or the coaching, right? Like the idea of Aaron Rodgers is because, you don't need Solid to make any coaching. And the reason that Haka is here is because of Aaron Rodgers in the first place. Um, but another one of the main reasons that I think that it really kind of is a little bit on Aaron Rodgers more than anything else is because, last week with the whole controversy with Salah saying like, oh, maybe we got to work on the cadence or what have you and stuff. And we all said, myself included, was like, no, like make them be held accountable and have them level up to Aaron Rodgers. Well, at the same time, if we hear from like Devontae Adams and the others that it takes like 3 years to be able to get in sync with Aaron Rodgers, we know we don't have 3 years. We have to
Right.
win now. So even though Aaron Rodgers may want them to kind of rise up to where he's at, if you know that they're not where you are, then you kind of do have to adjust to them so that you can use the tools that you have to the best of your ability. If you know that like that there is an issue with synchronicity between you and your receivers and stuff like that, and it's because they're not understanding you as a QB, you're the veteran here. You should be the one to you should even though the right thing is for them to have to learn how to adjust to you, you're the veteran. Maybe you could be the one to make the adjustment and make things a little bit easier. I think that the you guys, in the second half, the Jets were having a lot more success with the short run game, keeping it close, having a little bit more simple play calling. To me, what started to look a lot more like a Giants DJ type of game. Maybe a lot more success with that. I think that was winning for you. But then as soon as you kind of went into Aaron Rodgers mode, where we already know 5 weeks in that there isn't that connection, that might be like what's costing you the game. Like having everyone try to meet Aaron Rodgers where he is, as opposed to Aaron
Right.
Rodgers kind of meeting a little bit more in the middle.
So I had said, and I think our preseason cast, right? Um, we brought Aaron Rodgers here for we didn't need MVP Aaron Rodgers. I think you guys remember that.
Yeah, right.
We needed average Aaron Rodgers, and I said a perfect game plan would be where Aaron Rodgers is throwing 25, 30 passes a game and stuff like that. The last two games, Aaron Rodgers has thrown 47. This game, I think he threw 54 passes. You're not going to win this way.
This points to what
You're not
Jose
going to win
said.
this way.
This points to what Jose said about the fact that like you guys don't have a rushing game. He's forced to
Right.
throw the ball because there's no rushing game.
You're absolutely right
Yeah.
about that.
The same thing
But
happened with DJ. We had no rush game against the Cowboys. So, yeah, of course, Daniel Jones is going to throw 40-something passes because there's no rush. But this is now like 5 weeks in. You guys are still with the same problem and haven't solved it.
But let me ask you this, and Jose, you can probably expand on this afterwards. If you see that you don't have a rushing game, there are ways that you can open that up in the passing game. You know what I'm saying? And again, this goes back to Hackett. Whoever you want to blame on on the offensive side of things, whether it's actually Rodgers calling his own plays, and I sent you guys a tweet about that. But is it Rodgers? Is it Hackett? Why are we not trying to find ways to kind of like, instead of say, well, you know what, the rushing game doesn't work. Let's do some different things. Let's create some opportunities where it opens up that front of the line so that now those holes are opening and we're not seeing any of that. It's always go routes, it's always post routes. We rarely see screens, we rarely see wheel routes, we rarely see tight end screens. We don't see any of that stuff. It's just Garrett, run down the field. Um, Conklin, run down the middle of the field. You're not doing anything to help that offense open up.
I don't
Yeah.
know. I mean, like, yeah, I want to know. I want to know what Jose has to say. 'Cause for me, like, because of that
So
tweet,
yeah,
I think if you can explain that tweet, Jose, that was sent exactly, like, remind me
we'll get
exactly
to the
what
tweet.
it was.
Oh man, we'll get to the tweet. Okay, because
That tweet is
I looked at the
upsetting, right?
game I looked at the game pretty carefully today. I've been doing my due diligence. I've been looking at concepts in a little more detail. Looking at the Jets offense from an all 22 perspective, the Giants offense from an all 22 perspective a little bit more. And like it's like Walt said, you don't see, and even Garrett Wilson said this. All right, and Garrett Wilson provides some
Yeah, that's
anecdotal
true.
evidence from his end. You
Mm-hmm.
don't see complicated modern offense coming from this Jets team. You see Aaron Rodgers from the era of yesteryear, from airing the ball out and bully ball Megatron catches. And to be more specific, like when you watch the game, like Walt said, there's go routes like all day. I see 4 verticals all day. You don't see anything. You don't see anything a little bit more designed to go like horizontal with the defense to get them moving side to side, get them out of position for the run. Like Walt said, that's one of the things that you can do. I don't see a lot of mesh concepts. I don't see a lot of slant, flat concepts to kind of get the defense moving from side to side, moving vertical, get linebackers moving out of the box. You don't really see a modern offense like you see something like the perfect example that we always bring up is like a Mike Shanahan offense, like an offense that's designed to get real separation. All of Aaron Rodgers' offensive prowess and play calling from Hackett kind of is designed on a really ultra specific timing and positioning, and it's I don't want to be too extreme and say that it's so different from a modern NFL offense, but it's more based on, to me, getting to where Aaron Rodgers puts the ball as opposed to getting to where defenses give you the ability to get the ball, if that makes any sense. And Aaron Rodgers is a fantastic quarterback who could make these incredible throws, but he can't make them anymore.
Right.
So
That's why I wanted to talk a little bit
not
about that
quite,
tweet.
right? So that to me is like a big reason, and I'll let you all go ahead and expound upon that, and maybe like the tweet that you mentioned, I'll bring that up, and you can expound upon that too. There was a tweet that Walt sent about Aaron Rodgers basically getting like 3 suggested play calls at the line to just decide for himself. It's three plays from Hackett, I guess. And he presses X, Y, or A to choose whichever one he wants, and then like he makes the play call. He makes the play call. Let's just put it that way.
But this
Go
is the
ahead.
thing. This is why like we're saying, okay, Hackett's doing that, right? But was it Hackett's idea? I would wager that this is Aaron Rodgers' idea, which is why Aaron Rodgers probably wanted Hackett here, because this
Maybe,
is how Aaron Rodgers wants to play.
maybe.
And then if that's the case, Aaron Rodgers is trying to play head coach and not doing a good job of it, or at least OC. He's playing offensive coordinator and not doing a very good job of it, because I guarantee you that, like, I mean, I can't guarantee you. Obviously, I don't know. But was Hackett doing this for Zach Wilson? Was he giving Zach Wilson 3 plays and then letting him choose? I highly doubt it.
Zach Wilson's playbook was a total of 3 plays.
Yeah,
So
but
I mean, come on,
I understand, but I'm saying, I don't think that this was. I think that this is more Aaron Rodgers than it is Hackett. Hackett's the sous chef. Hackett is there for Aaron Rodgers to tell him, like, hey, these are the plays I wanna get called. This is what I want you to tell me, and go tell me what they are. That's what Hackett is to me. So this is why
It's
I put more of the blame on Aaron Rodgers, from not like separating it from his play, but from some of these things, these things out of the actual play. And I'll let you guys talk, because I got to get my chart. I'll be right back.
and what I would say to that is, if that is happening, and again, we're getting that from I think it's Mike Garafalo from the NFL Network that posted that. Um, it kind of makes sense because we've seen how many times delay of games on Aaron Rodgers' part, right? Where they're coming up to the line and the play clock goes down to zero. We've seen it way too many times. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of the times you see receivers maybe not running the right routes, or stopping altogether when they should have kept on going. There's a lot of dysfunction in terms of
So
how
much dysfunction.
you
So much.
know these receivers are interacting with Aaron Rodgers, and you know it's it's frustrating because, again, there are ways that you can manage this, and I go back to last year where Hackett was actually shocked that Brees Hall could be a weapon in the passing attack, and yet in this game where Aaron Rodgers dropped back 54 times, he threw to the backs 6 times.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
I
that you have a
that.
weapon. At the very least, if you can't run with Brees Hall, you can put him up against the linebacker and throw the ball up. You threw 6 times to the running backs on a day where you threw the ball 54 times. I mean,
Yeah, that
sorry,
is kind of crazy.
there's
That is
something
kind of
wrong
crazy.
with that. You know,
Yeah.
The ball 22 times to Garrett Wilson, by the way, which is I think a
yeah,
record.
I
For
think like I had mentioned, I think that what they're like, I think that what was happening there, possibly, is Aaron Rodgers like, hey, like I'm just gonna keep going with Garrett Wilson, until something clicks. You know what I mean? Like I think that might have been it. I would love to hear, an answer on that, or see if anybody brings up that question to them, like why they targeted him so much, considering the lack of synchronicity between the two of them. And I would wager that it's more so likely like, hey, just keep targeting him. This is going to be the get right situation. Like eventually he's going to be able to kind of get in sync. Is what my thought was. But there was so much more because also your offensive line did not play well today. You guys allowed how
well,
many sacks
they,
was it that
they
you guys allowed
they did play well toward the end of the game.
in
You
the
know,
second half? Like I said,
the
I think the
second
second
half
half you guys
they
did
played well.
okay.
You
I
know what
just
I'm
think that
saying?
like towards the end, just didn't close out the right way. The way that you guys should have.
Right.
But I like let me see the team stats over here. How many sacks allowed?
allowed 3 sacks. Let
Yeah, it
Aaron
wasn't a
Rodgers get
terrible.
folded into a pancake, or get folded
One thing that you guys can still
over
bet
for like
on and
one
count
point.
on is how good your defense still is. 3 years running, it's you
Our
know,
run blocking is shit,
I
but yeah,
what is it?
no
No,
defense
not necessarily.
did
I
great.
mean, Vikings only had 82 yards running.
No, our run blocking, our
Oh,
run defense,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
our
yeah.
run blocking is awful. Has been
Yeah, that's
awful.
all horrendous. I also don't necessarily know, like, because I also think that, like, for as great as Brees Hall has been touted, I feel like he can do a little bit more of dynamic running too. He seems to like just always like just try to run up an A gap that's non-existent. I never see him like really kind of like chucking and jiving and like trying to fake and stuff. So I don't know like I think that it's not just on the play design. I think it's mostly on the play design. But Brees Hall could also make a few moves here and there. You know what I mean? Like get a little
Well,
creative with your run.
the other thing that I would say on that, and again, yes, a lot of it has to do with the offensive line. The offensive line clearly, and I think they're really missing Morgan Moses in the running game.
Yeah, yeah, you mentioned yeah.
I think Morgan Moses is a huge guy that they're missing. But you know what? One thing that I noticed, and I was watching the Jets post game, and they mentioned, you know, these guys here, the running backs, they seem to be kind of undisciplined here because a lot of the times, you're not taking the ball and running, downfield at 100 miles per hour. You do have to wait for your blockers to kind of open up holes for you. You know what I'm saying? And a
Giving
lot of
you
the
two gap
times,
choices, right?
right, exactly. And I feel like a lot of the times what's happening here is that Brees Hall, as soon as he gets it, he's running 100 miles per hour. He's basically running right into the behinds of his offensive line because
Yeah.
he's not giving them enough time. So there's blame to be had all around here when it comes to the
Yeah.
running game. You know what I'm saying? I think the guys up front, they're not gelling with each other, and so you're having the issues where the run blocking isn't doing as well. But and again, missing Morgan Moses, and hopefully he'll be back next week. Ironically, a game for first place next week. Um, but I think there also has to be some discipline by these running backs where it's like, you know what, you kind of got to slow it down a little bit so that you can let the play develop. And I think that's
And you
another
want to know
key,
what
you
that
know,
comes down to? Comes
coaching.
down to head coaching specifically, because head
Well,
coaching
no,
is
not necessarily,
yes,
because you
absolutely.
know what, that is those are offensive. So listen, the head coach is supposed to be the CEO, right? He's not supposed
Right.
to be
Yeah,
going
he's
down
choosing these guys,
and
right?
right. So again, this goes down to offensive line coach. This goes down to the running back coach. This
Right.
goes down to the offensive coordinator. You know what I'm saying?
But
These are
that's
all
the
guys
thing.
that are supposed to be teaching this. These are fundamental things that are not occurring. You know what I'm saying? The head coach, I blame him on the penalties because
Well,
you got to hold those guys accountable for that stuff.
yeah, but that's
Aaron
the thing
Rodgers
though.
mentioned that last week.
But that's the thing. If the head coach, who's not doing any kind of play calling whatsoever, his only job then is to make sure that his other coaches are doing their job. So it's not
I
just a matter
agree.
of like keeping the players accountable. This is now not only week 5, but this was also these are the same problems that you guys have been dealing with now for years when it comes to the penalties, when it comes to lack of discipline in
I
general,
agree.
when it comes to all these things. Head coach is supposed to go to his OC, his running back coach, his wide receiver coaches, his all his other coordinators and stuff like that, and be like, "Yo, get your shit together, otherwise you're out." You know.
But it
Unfortunately, I don't think that Salah's the guy that's going to be like, "Hey, your job's on the line if you don't fix this next week."
right, and I think also you kind of have to put some of this on the players also because yeah, these penalties are rough, but you know what? Like for example, last week, Brees Hall false started twice. One of them when he was right next to Aaron Rodgers. I mean,
Yeah, that was bad.
how are you supposed to, as a coach, try and coach something out of that when the guy is literally right next to the quarterback and he does a false start like that? There's no universe where that happens where it's acceptable, right?
Unless the coach himself can actually, unless the coach like, okay, Salah does not have the tools to fix it. That's the problem.
Right.
Okay? He can be like, "Hey, bro, you got to get your head out there, like, head in the game. You know you can't do this. Okay, but then how's he gonna fix it during practice? Is he gonna
Well,
like force him to recreate that scenario? And every time he false starts, freaking make him run 100 laps? I guarantee you, Salah isn't that kind of
yeah,
coach.
but you know what? That's high school stuff. You don't do that in the NFL.
Yeah,
You know
but
what I'm
like,
saying?
you know what I mean? Like,
But
what
you
else
know
are
what you do?
you?
You know what you do? You bench his ass during the game,
Salah's
right?
not that guy either.
But that's what has to happen because listen, as a Giants fan, you know this especially, right? Because
Yeah,
Tiki Barber, when he first started in this league,
yeah, his ass
what
got
was
benched.
what was he known for? Fumbles, right?
Dropping the
And
ball.
Coughlin said, "You're gonna sit your ass down
Yeah,
until you
exactly.
learn how to hold that ball." And
Yeah,
guess what? He learned how to hold that ball, right?
yep. And no
So
matter how much shit that Tiki Barber has, like with Coughlin and all that, he credits him to this day that if it wasn't for Coughlin, he would still be dropping balls.
yeah,
Well,
All right.
defense did its thing, though, right? Just want
Yeah,
to
that's what
mention
I'm
that
saying.
we
Like the one thing you
we
can take
stopped
away from
Sam
this.
Darnold. We stopped the
Yes,
legend that is Sam Darnold. We're the
yes.
first team to do
I
that.
was gonna say this is Sam Darnold's official first bad game of the season.
Yes.
It sucks because I just picked them up. In well, honestly, I did this on
it
purpose.
wasn't a
I'm
bad
like,
pickup though.
no. I don't think that it was a bad
No.
pickup, and I did this,
We're talking
almost
about
trolling.
fantasy football people.
Yeah, Final
Just so
Fantasy.
you
Yeah.
know.
Our fantasy
I'm a
league that
fantasy
we
football.
have between us and a few other friends. But like I
Yeah.
realized that because I was playing Jose, I was like, you know what? Let me pick Sam Darnold just because. I was like, how salty would Jose be if I if I had if I had won this week's game
Hey,
behind Sam Darnold? So
Josh Allen was garbage today too, so it all kind of evened
But
out. Josh
you
Allen
still
had one
won
of the
though.
worst
You
games
ended
a
up winning.
quarterback has had
You
in the
know,
last few
Garrett
decades.
Wilson finally did something for me. Let me take a look at the ESPN stats. Is there anything else left to talk about with the Jets?
Pass
Obviously, we'll
interference,
get to the future like
holding
later at the end of the
calls.
cast. So
Uh, I don't know. They lost. They should have. They
Bro,
could have won
Jamar
this
Chase
game.
had 41 points.
Jamar Chase.
Oh
I didn't
my
see that.
goodness!
I know
Jamar
that
Chase
the
went
I know
off.
they
Bengals
had a
offense
monster
went
game. They
off.
had a monster game, yeah,
Yeah, Jamar Chase went off today.
and
They
they would have
still
won
You
that
had a
lost.
game.
great game from
Feel
Garrett
bad for
Wilson on your fantasy, but a lot of good it did the real Jets.
that. Yeah, I know. Freaking fucking Sam Darnold, goddamn.
I also had.
Anyway,
I really glad I put in DJ Moore today too, because I feel like Caleb Williams is starting to get his shit
yeah,
together, and they playing the Panthers. Like you figured,
yeah.
the Panthers are going to get toe up, and they did.
All right. So then, if there's nothing else, again, before we actually switch over and start talking about positive stuff, don't forget to again like, rate, share, and subscribe, and hit us up in the comments too. Let us know what you guys think. Talk to us so that we can talk back. We want to talk to you guys. We want to kind of get into it and all that stuff. So, it never, it never ends, right? It never stops. So if we can, have a chat online after this cast would be awesome. So don't forget to hit us up in the comments. Social media, Instagram, YouTube, the whole nine. So, all right, Giants. It feels so good to, I mean, this might be premature because we're only getting into the segment, but it feels so good to kind of not have anything bad to say about this game when it comes to the Giants. Of course, it wasn't a perfect game. You know what I mean? Especially the way that it started with Daniel Jones tripping over himself like a
Yep.
doofus. But in that first drive, it was he did his thing. He got us all the way to the end zone, and we'll talk more about all that stuff. But it does feel good to kind of be proud to wear the right number 8 in New York. What did you guys think about the game? I know that Walt, you only saw the first half, and Jose, did you get a chance to see it at all?
Yeah, I condensed it up myself just before the cast. I got to see every offensive play. The defense,
Like
I
I
kind
said,
of had
this
a
is
good idea
premature
of what
feelings.
happened.
Premature feelings. I don't know. I don't know. This cast might go off the rails too. So, but premature
I
feelings.
mean, I don't think there was a bad thing necessarily to say about this game either. I think the worst thing you can say is that you had 3 quarters of good play from this team and 1 quarter of we're almost giving this away. And they didn't, thankfully, with a great play to end the game by special teams, like you said,
Yeah,
of all personnel. Thank goodness. Right, like because they really almost gave at least a tie away at the end, and like
yeah.
got let them
I
get
was
back
scared as
into it.
hell.
And Daniel Jones looked like almost an A to me for 3 quarters. The only thing I can say that takes away from it is he had that one rough quarter after he had those great throws to Slayton, fantastic throws like Danny Dimes, like dare I say, like the first time we've seen Danny Dimes in years. I feel like, um, and then like
It's still
only
not
other
a
bad thing
game.
I can say about him is like that boy really has to stop taking so many damn hits, man. He still has to learn how to stop taking so many hits.
Yeah,
But
I'll take it.
a great game for the Giants, and
Yeah.
thank goodness. 3 great quarters, 1 bad quarter equates a win.
And what about you, Walt?
So, with
He's here.
with both.
He's here to like burst my bubble and pop my balloon.
No, 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 not really, not really.
Not
Um,
really. You should.
no,
I was
not really.
joking. You should be like, no, I'm not gonna at all. Not
I
really.
have
This
to.
is not really.
That's what I'm here for. That's why I live my life. To burst giant fans bubbles and stuff.
Giant
No, not
bubbles.
really. But like I said, today was kind of difficult for me in terms of watching the games because we were doing a lot of things and stuff like that. Eli has college open houses today and stuff like that.
Ooh.
So a lot of the stuff I did was watching on the mobile phone or the iPad and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
as
So
as did I, unfortunately. Yeah.
yeah, and so I saw most of the first half. I saw a little bit of the second half. I will say this: I have to give credits to the Giants because, especially after that first drive where you had just abject disaster. You know what I'm saying? Um, the 101-yard fumble return. A lot of teams could have folded at that point. Giants came right back and scored right away. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so a lot of credit you have to give to the Giants because of that. Um, and the other piece is that Malik Neighbors wasn't here this week,
Yep.
and the Giants, went above and beyond that. I mean, Darius Slayton was out of his mind this week. Tyrone Tracy had like a Saquon Barkley type game. You know what I'm saying? And so, there's a lot of positives there. Um, what I will say is this: there was despite the fact that they, went toe to toe with Seattle, it took that special teams, superb play for them to kind of gut this out, and that's fine. You know what I'm saying? Um, but this was a game that they could have been up a little bit further. You know what I'm saying? Given how much they dominated time of possession, but still, a win is a win is a win is a win. You guys are 2-3. You're in the discussion again and stuff like that. And so kudos to the Giants, because you can't really say anything bad after this type of win, after you're playing against the Seahawks, which was a playoff team last year, was projected to be a playoff team this year, and
Yeah, they're still
you
3-3 on
basically
the list.
dominated them, especially in that first half.
Yeah, I agree. I still think that like our biggest issue thus far. So like again, I've said that like in the first week, every single facet of our gameplay, of the Giants was bad. Coaching, defense, offense, special teams, players themselves, everything was bad. And then every single week we've been knocking something down. Defense started playing better, even though the rest sucked. Play calling was much better, even though the rest of the team sucked. Special teams was still crap, but they started kind of getting better. And this week was like the first game where we knocked all five facets out of the park. For the most part. I don't want to say out of the park actually,
Right.
but for the most part, they all played competently. We did play. We had a tough fourth quarter, but I still think that we played four good quarters, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Um, uh, the biggest issue is still, to me, is still ball control, and not field control, but specifically ball control with like, dropping passes, dropping, fumbling the ball in places that you shouldn't be fumbling and stuff. Um, things where you could say in games past that, oh well, it was a bad throw and stuff like that. Some of these balls that were dropped were not bad throws at all. They just butterfingers. So if we can just fix that, we would have, I think, you know some really really great performances. This game should have been, if everything stayed the same minus that fumble, and instead it was a touchdown, it should have been 36-13, which would be a blowout.
Right.
And then if you consider, the Commanders game that, coulda, shoulda, woulda won that game. Same thing with the Cowboys game. We should actually technically be 4-1, you could say, if we corrected some of those mistakes. Um, and yes, I think all the way up until this point, before this game, anything good that was spoken about, in our season so far was not because of Daniel Jones. It was all Neighbors and Singletary. Those
Mm-hmm.
two guys gone for the game, and we had our best put together game so far. So, I
Well,
think that you can no
uh,
longer. I always say that it takes two to tango, and I think that you can no longer say that it's just these superstars that are making it happen. So,
play calling was fun today. I saw a
yeah,
flea
play
flicker
calling is
in this
fun. Yeah,
game.
yeah.
There's a flea flicker in this game. Like, what? When was the last time you saw a flea
There was.
flicker in an NFL
I
game?
missed
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, there was a flea flicker in this game, and it was a completion. It
Just
was
like
for
like
like 6 or 7 yards.
yeah, I too had to. I was working all day, so I had just, I mean, I was glued to my phone, but there was, moments where I had to like look away, and unfortunately, in the app that I was in, it's like I'm not able to just rewind a couple plays to see anything that I missed. I would say that I watched like 85 to 90% of both games, but definitely a few things that I missed. Some things that I would love to kind of go back with a sliding replay and all that. So
Well, one thing I got to say about the personnel in this game, you got Tyrone Tracy playing out of his mind and
yes,
making
I
people,
mean,
like Walt said, forget about Saquon Barkley. You might have to just I don't know, do something with like Kadarius Tony, like Eric Gray, like send him to the Chiefs. and then maybe he'll end up on the Browns. I think is where he is now because that man can't hold on to the football. I feel like every single week he is fumbling the football. Am I wrong? Like he's having
Yeah,
a
yeah,
hard time with it, or not every single week, but like almost every damn time he touches the ball, it's a
Right.
mess.
yeah. The Gray shows promise here and there and stuff like that, but yeah, he been fumbling the ball and costing us games early. So, but Darius Slayton, who also had a couple crucial drops. Darius Slayton also had a really great game. He had 122 yards and a touchdown. Uh, yeah, going back to Tracy Jr. He had 129 yards rushing, a little over 7 yards per carry, which was awesome and stuff. So, and then we got to talk about that special teams play. I mean, when's the last time you saw like such a perfectly, played hurdle and then block into a touchdown? I mean, to me, that was like karma. To me, that was ball don't lie. Okay, I personally still maintain that fumble was a touchdown. Okay, but agree to disagree on my algorithm. It's all good. But that's why, like for me, that blocked field goal was karma. The ball not lying, giving us a touchdown that we should have had in the beginning. So, how did you guys like? I mean, when you guys saw, or I guess read, I don't know how like Jose did you get like
I
an
saw.
update or you saw it?
Well, I mean, I
Like,
heard, I listened. I heard it
oh,
first,
you
and
heard
then
it,
I like immediately jumped on and watched it. Like I said, I
dude.
watched the replay. I was skipping 30 seconds after every damn play. I was condensing it myself, and I skipped all the defensive play by the Giants. I figured the defense did good until, like I said, they almost didn't. So I'm not worried about the defense. I was worried about looking at the
Yeah,
offense a little bit more today, and I did see it, and it was a fantastic play. I mean, it was literally like I don't know if you made the comment or another Giants fan that I saw made this comment on a thread. It was like thank goodness for once to be on the winning side of a play like that as a
yeah,
Giants fan
yeah.
in like
I know
recent
the
memory.
Seahawks. They're mad.
Like
They're
instead of it turning out like because that could have turned into a tie, it could have turned into something in
yeah,
overtime, could
yeah.
have been a given away game. But in the end, special teams, which for all you can talk about the offense, is the absolute worst part of this team over through the first
Right.
four
Yeah.
weeks.
Yeah.
Uh, did hopefully not just this one big thing in this one game, and this is a sign of special teams maybe getting coached up the way the Jets need to, apparently, getting coached up and doing something right for once.
Yeah. This might be
Well, there was a
Dable.
bobble earlier. There was a bobble on a return, but he
Yeah.
did secure it. So
Hopefully Dable I could count on ripping these guys new ones and stuff. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what else to say. You didn't see it, Walt, right? Like you only heard about it or
No, I did see it, but I had it on mute. So
oh
I when I turned back, I was assuming that we were going into overtime, so I kind of looked
same thing
away.
actually.
You
Same
know what I'm
thing.
saying? And then all of a sudden, Amy was the one that she was like, "What the hell just happened? Like, weren't they kicking a field goal? Why is he running the opposite way?" And then I had to like rewind it. I was like, "Oh shit, they blocked the field goal. Oh
Yeah, dude.
shit, they scored a touchdown. Oh shit, they're gonna win this fucking game." You
Yeah,
know what I'm
bro.
saying? So
It's funny because like again when I saw it when I saw Gino cross like the field goal line, I was like, "Fuck, we're going into overtime. This shit sucks."
yeah,
And then when they lined up and whatnot, I got like this little bit of a feeling. You could call it like Nostradamus feeling that I kind of got in the
Nostradamus.
Nostradamus because so I was watching the Mets game and I'm not, I'm a New York sports fan. I root for the Yankees and I root for the Giants, but if a New York team is playing and it's not against my team, I'm a root for them too. You know what I mean? Like I'm gonna watch the game and I'm gonna enjoy it. And the Mets were playing and I'm like, oh my God, please not like this. And when I saw that like Pete Alonso was coming up, I was like, oh my God, he's gonna double and this is gonna be the end of the Mets season. And I was like, nah, man, Pete's gonna do it. What a storybook ending if Pete hits a home run. And 10 seconds, no more than 10 seconds after I said that, and I said it to myself, watching it by myself here, nobody to speak to, but I said it out loud. He hits a home run. Okay. They line up, and in my mind, I'm like, man, we're going to go to overtime. And I said, you know what? Watch him jump over and block the field goal. I said this out loud, and that's exactly what happened. I was just like, same reaction that I had on Tuesday night, I think it was, or Wednesday night. I
Mm-hmm.
just jumped up and I was like, holy shit, I can't believe it fucking happened. I could not believe that we could have that kind of luck. It's like kind of like, you know, pretty damn awesome feeling. Sorry guys. I realize that I'm like having this like awesome feeling while you guys are sulking about the Jets.
Yeah, I mean,
But I don't get it
yeah,
this often. Especially in the
again,
last
you
6 years.
deserve it.
It's all
Thank
good. It's
goodness
all
they didn't give
good.
it away because, like I said, I contend from everybody except for Tracy. You had 3 good quarters and 1 quarter that was just like, what the hell is going on? Even Daniel Jones, because there were some drops earlier in the third quarter, but then when he had a chance to start closing things out with a couple of throws late in the third quarter and early in the fourth quarter, you started to see a little bit of that inaccuracy creep back in for no reason after making 2 of the best throws he's made all season. All right, he almost threw an interception at one point there in the fourth quarter. So, and then the defense all of a sudden letting Geno Smith run everywhere in the fourth quarter, letting Jackson Smith and Jigba get anywhere he wanted to in the fourth quarter. It was a tale of 2 teams, but again, special teams didn't negate that conversation, but put that conversation a little bit more on the back burner until we get to next week and we see whether they
I'm
build
sure
on
we'll
this
see, you know.
or they can't, or they kind of do what I think the Jets are doing, which is they can't get used to success. I think that's the problem. Aaron Rodgers mentioned it, but I want the Giants to build off of this. I want Danny Dimes' confidence to build off of this. And I want, we can see Tracy's confidence, hopefully the defense's confidence, Slayton's confidence to finally get really involved in this offense. You can see
Yeah.
good things happening from here, but they need to follow up with it in a way that New York teams have not been able to do for a couple of years.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, just kind of put like a one final, I guess, note on it for me, from my perspective, and I clearly, you know, understand that I have a different perspective than you guys. To me, this Daniel Jones today was not that different from the last 3 weeks beforehand. The last week maybe not as good for sure, but 2 weeks before that, I think that Daniel Jones played more or less similar to how he played today.
Listen,
I
you're absolutely right. We can't fault Daniel Jones this year because
I
he's
mean,
playing like you said. He's
those deep
playing
throws
well.
today
You
were
know.
Daniel Jones. Like I said, I don't think we've seen in 4 years. So that was something really encouraging. I think you saw it. I don't think you saw that at any
No.
point
Listen,
earlier this season.
you
no, not
cannot
this season for sure. Yeah,
the you can't blame 2 and 3 on Daniel Jones because
No,
Daniel Jones is playing pretty well. You know what I'm saying? He's not the reason why you're losing. Um, Today, he was the reason why you did win. You know what I'm saying? Maybe you couldn't say that in the past couple of other
Him
weeks
and
and stuff
Tracy
like that.
put together, right? 1 and
Right,
1A
exactly.
kind of incredible
But
performance from both of them to kind of like seal the deal when they needed to.
exactly, and again, like you said, um, Daniel Jones was the best number 8 in New York this week. You know what I'm saying? And that you can't say that lightly, right? Because he is playing well. You have to give credit where credit is due, right? He is playing well. He's not he's not the cause for the Giants losing and stuff like that. He's doing everything that Dable has asked him to do. He's done. Yes, he has some issues with the deep ball. That could be cleaned up. You know what I'm saying? He's playing well.
yeah.
I
I
love
think
it today.
you could
The
say
deep
that
ball
like
looked good.
maybe it was maybe the one defining factor has been the play calling. I think the play calling this season has been much better than especially last season, and it's been progressively getting better week by week.
Yeah.
So
I agree with that.
this could just be Dable kind of getting into his groove and understanding. Okay, this is what works for DJ, and this is what
Yeah.
works for them. Preseason is over. You could say that today was our very first official, season game and stuff, and it looked like it. So what the last thing too is like another thing that I liked seeing is maybe this is like I guess maybe a getting a monkey off his back type of thing or whatever, but seeing Daniel Jones celebrating and stuff after a touchdown and seeing him celebrating with the players, seeing a little bit of I guess like charisma or I guess character. Everybody like complains about, and myself included. I think he's a very, very dry person. He's not that different from Eli, but even Eli showed like fiery emotion and stuff like that. Seeing that
Yeah.
more than just one time during the game was awesome. Seeing him like, one thing that was awesome to see was coming out of that final drive. Uh, they showed they showed Daniel Jones like in that final drive to seal the deal. Um, they showed Daniel Jones going to his entire offensive line before getting onto the field, like, yo, let's close this out, giving everybody a dat, hitting them on the head, just kind of like getting them ready to like close out this game. I thought that was like a really nice thing to see, like, see like a little bit of that leadership from him. And then when they blocked that kick, they went immediately to Daniel Jones, who he had his helmet on because he was about to come on the field and all that. He took it off, and you just see like that face of jubilation. I think it was awesome to kind of see that from Daniel Jones too. So, yeah.
I mean, in my mind, he came this close to screaming, "You like that?" Like Kirk Cousins style.
Yeah, I know, right?
Like,
I mean, I still think he's very far from something like that, but I'll take what I can get out of him. So
Kirk Cousins was a commander, right, before he became a Viking, and that's where it came from. But the legend of Kirk grew when he became a Viking. So I hope that doesn't mean that Danny has to leave.
Like I told you before, I think that we already know the answer to that. But you know what? Like today's not the day to talk about that today. So
no,
we don't
celebrate the boy. Yeah. Celebrate the man.
I hope he at least got the game ball today.
And he looked like a dime today. He looked dimes today for sure.
All right, what do we got coming up? We got next week's talk and stuff. What do we got next? So we got the Bengals, who the Bengals kind of scare me. You know what I mean? They're on a pretty bad streak right now, but they're scoring.
Did you hear Burrows?
Huh?
Did you hear Burrows in his post game conference? He was like, we're not a championship team right now.
Ooh,
he was.
Oh my goodness,
he was just nah. You know what I'm saying?
Because Burrow's playing out of his mind, and they still can't win.
Yeah,
like he has like 2 interceptions, if that, on the season. Like,
this is kind of a scary game for you guys, because Burrows feels like he's I mean, he's been playing crazy.
Yeah, he has.
This might be a scary game. I don't know about this one. So it's on Sunday night. So everybody's everybody's eyes is gonna be on this game. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know, and we know that Danny, questionable primetime game player, but this one is scary to me because like our defense, I think, has been good. Sexy Dexy is still the man. Brian Burns finally showing up today, which is awesome. I don't know that we can withstand that kind of point onslaught because this is like 2 weeks in a row that Joe Burrows is freaking hot. You know what I mean? Like playing it hot, and it's just the Bengals defense is a turnstile. They just letting everything happen. And I know that Joe Burrows is freaking hating on the defense. You know what I mean? So it does kind of scare me, but at the same time, there might be dysfunction there that we can take advantage of. We're coming off of our most synergistic play. They're coming off of one of their most disappointing losses, simply because of how, dumb it was the way that they lost. They lost on a bad hold. They could have won that game in overtime, if it wasn't for that bad hold. So I feel for Joe Burrows, but hopefully they can stay dysfunctional just one more week. I do not want to continue to be the get right team. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I hear you. It's like I said, it's scary though because Joe Burrow is going to look at that. That team's going to stew for what 7 days almost. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's just whoa. You know what I'm saying? It's like when the hyenas are talking about Mufasa. He was like, "What's his name? Mufasa." Woo! Say it
Yeah.
again, Mufasa. Woo! You know what I'm saying?
I know.
It's the
Well,
same thing with Burrows. So I mean,
and your team has a very 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 interesting game because you guys have Monday night against the Bills. Now, again, we don't know the state of Aaron Rodgers. We don't know if he's going to be playing next week. He has a low ankle sprain. It's on the same leg that he got surgery on. It's on the same leg he had the hamstring issue last week. I don't know if it's even smart to play him, considering how dysfunctional you guys are. But then you also have Josh Allen, who by all means suffered a concussion today, and they allowed him to play. Now here's the interesting thing though. You know, they let him play, and what I saw, I forgot what post game show I was watching, but what I saw is that Josh Allen came when he got up. What he did was point to his chest and point to his arm, and I don't know if that's just him being smart, realizing like, hey, I better not say it's my head, otherwise they're gonna take me out. You know, that might have been what got him back in the game. But word is that the NFL can and most likely will look at it to see if they need a forced concussion protocol. And if they do force concussion protocol, you may not see Josh Allen because this is an NFL mandated thing. Once you're in concussion protocol, now it's not really on the teams. You know, it's not really on the team to be able to get him onto the field. So you may not even see Josh Allen next week. So how do you guys feel about those circumstances? That's why I said I think it's a really interesting scenario to find out in the next couple of days what's actually going to happen between your two QBs, these two QBs.
Alan Rodgers being out and Josh Allen being out with a concussion, and Alan Rodgers out with an ankle sprain. This is
Let
tough
me ask
because
you
I
this.
think we
Let me
actually
ask you this.
match
What
up
do you
pretty
think?
well against
Let
the
me ask
Bills.
you this real quick. What do you think is the most likely scenario next week?
The thing is that I think we match up pretty well against the Bills, with or without Josh Allen. I think we match up pretty well against them. I think they were like pretty much the best team in football for the first 3 weeks. I think they've kind of fallen back down to earth. I think the division as a whole is a little weak, obviously. I think that Jesus, it's really hard to say right now because you
your
have to
head.
consider the potential of what this team you can do, but the track record is always the same. If this team plays anywhere near what they should be able to do, they have to. Josh Allen has to win the game, right? Um, I think they could have prevented that and stolen a win last week, just like I think the Giants might be able to steal a win from the Bengals this coming week. But with to me, I think the Giants can steal this week's game because they're on an upward trajectory, and I believe they can stay on that upward trajectory. I think the Jets are on a downward trajectory. So, having said all of that, I think the Jets could have stolen this game, but I don't think that they will. I think they're going to lose this game, and I think
So but my
they're going to be in
question: Do you
trouble.
think that Aaron Rodgers is going to play?
We think Aaron Rodgers is going to play. Um, yes, I think he's going to play. I think because they have the couple of extra days.
And
Uh, the extra day playing on Monday Night Football. I think he's going to play. I don't think Josh Allen is going to play, but I think we're still somehow going to lose this game.
again, we don't know if they're gonna force concussion protocol. From my understanding, they're gonna look at it. We don't know yet. Also,
I
Josh
think they
Allen,
will because I think it's going to be a tremendously bad look for the league with everything going on
probably.
with concussions to us more specifically recently, and then because of the circumstances of the game is clearly why they decided not to, because they could have won that game at that point. That to me is the clear reason why concussion protocol was not immediately followed there. So I think the Bills are going to get in trouble actually for this. I think they might get in trouble for this because that was pretty bad. The way that it was the way that it looked and the way that it was handled.
Yeah, dude was literally knocked out
Yeah.
and needed smelling salts to kind of bring him back. Um,
That's
I
what you used to talk about, Walter. He got a stinger. That's how they treated
Yeah,
him.
I
They didn't
like
treat it
I
like
like I like
concussion.
I was telling my wife the other day. I probably have at least 10 to 15 concussions just from my playing days. Which back in the days they didn't call them concussions; they just call them stingers. They put you on the sideline, wait until you were kind of semi-conscious, and say, "All right, get back into the game." You know what I'm saying? Um, this game is for first place in the AFC East. So, whether do I think Aaron Rodgers is going to play? Absolutely. Do I think um, Josh Allen will play? Probably. Again, it all depends on, how he goes through the medical review on
Mhm.
Monday.
Right.
But I still I look at this game and I look at kind of like what Jose says. We match up pretty well. We matched up even better if Jermaine Johnson was there, because he was brought specifically to go after Josh Allen, right? That's we've heard that in the draft room. We he was brought for Josh Allen. Um, I think the Jets win this game. I think what you're going to see is Aaron Rodgers. Again, if he plays, he is what do we always say? Scorched earth. Aaron Rodgers is always the best. Aaron Rodgers. He's going to look at this past performance here, and I have a feeling that it's going to be one of these get right games for the team. Whether
Really?
it's going to be whether it's going to be a low scoring game,
I hope so, but
yeah, I
this was
don't
supposed to
think.
be the scorched earth game.
No, no, I get it, but now this game here, you can directly point at Aaron Rodgers and say he's the reason why we were down 17-0, to this team here. Um, and so maybe this is the optimist in me, but I do think that the Jets are gonna find a way to win this game. Aaron Rodgers doesn't lose two in a row like this, right? Three
I
in a
don't
row.
know, bro. Like you just said the optimist in you, and you're a Jets fan. That doesn't sound like it can exist in any universe?
Well, it always exists for us until the first game. You know what I'm saying?
I guess so.
So
Um,
we'll
I
see what
don't.
happens. We'll see what happens.
I don't think that you guys win this game. I did previously, but I don't because I think that you guys have too much dysfunction to recover in a week. So like, if
All
it
it
was
takes
if
is
it
one
was if it
game.
was just
All it takes is one game for that dysfunction to go away.
right,
You
but
know what
the
I'm
thing is that
saying?
like the dysfunction, it's not like it's incrementally improving week by week. It's the same, if not getting worse. And
So let
like
me.
couple that with Aaron Rodgers having to recover this week. How do you get more in sync with your guys if you're also sitting out to recover?
But but let me put it to you this way. With all the dysfunction and all the crap that the Jets have been in, they
Right.
easily could have won these last two games.
They could have, but I don't think that the
So
Vikings or the Bills either.
I think what we're looking at here is that clearly the Jets have the talent to do it. It's
Yeah.
just a
Yeah.
matter of
They
trying
do.
to get that talent synchronized together. You know what I'm saying? So maybe it takes a little bit longer. We've seen it happen before. You know what I'm saying?
No,
So
I mean
it,
I agree.
it's
I
Always
it's
get
don't.
a
not like
game.
the Jets are so dysfunctional and we're losing by two touchdowns. Every game we're
No, 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 for
literally
sure.
losing. We're literally losing by one score. You know what I'm saying? And
Yes.
in each game, what happened last week? We missed the field goal to end the game. Right. This week we were driving to either tie or take the lead, and because of a miscommunication between Aaron Rodgers and Mike Williams, it ended up being an interception. So we're very close if you look at it that in that lens. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah. The thing though is that this was not a team that was built or designed to win by one score or just by a kick. So
no, I
I
get it.
think I think basically I think that what's happening with me in my preview is that what I thought the Jets were going to be, I don't see them being that at all any point in this season. What most people thought, they were. you know, a lot of people were projecting 14 to 15 win season. That is not happening anymore. So that tells me this is not the Jets team that I thought it was going to be. I think it's not at the Aaron Rodgers, even as an average. I think Aaron Rodgers is not the Aaron Rodgers that even you expected him to be. You know, so Aaron Rodgers, I think, is keeping the game close enough, but he's still not playing the way that you expected him to be at all. No,
Right.
All right. This conversation is a deeper conversation as to whether the Jets can get right. Walt, you think they're going to lose? They're going to win. We think they're going to lose. I think let's move past the if they can fix coaching or not for a
Well, yeah,
deeper
no,
conversation.
I'm just giving my reason. I'm just giving my reason why I think that they're going to lose. That's all. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, then, so then, if we have all our opinions, I guess, and then there's nothing left to say. Then, catch you guys next week. Thank you guys for joining the cast. It's been fun. It's been awesome. And until next time, go Giants.
And go
And
Jets.
go Jets.
Go freaking Jets, please. For
Yeah,
God's
please
sake.
take off. Please
Yes.
take off. No more airplane delays.
Oh my gosh. All right. Later, people.
Peace.